I once met a 28-year-old basketball player. He was in healthy condition. When we found his aortic aneurysm, we hurried to confine him and prepared for surgery. He celebrated his birthday in the hospital. His 2-year-old daughter even visited him all the way from home. She brought him a watermelon to eat. The seed affected his respiratory system and his aorta ruptured, and he died. These are the problems we are always faced with in an industry like ours. Which one of you here is watching the monitor? There must be someone who broadcasts while watching.
Everything is done.
We're all set then.
What you will be witnessing today is Sun-styled surgery, and in charge of that operation is our director, Sun Lijong.
They are about to perform a heart operation while being broadcast live to Germany. People in the Beijing and Zhengzhou assembly rooms are watching as well. Operating is Sun Lijong, Anjian Hospital's director of cardiac surgery. They are going to watch the operation style he invented. Today's operation is one of the first of its kind in the field of cardiovascular surgery.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. This is Beijing. Hello.
Okay, I've been told there were more than 500,000 views of the Aortic Live meeting on the Chinese Twitter Weibo. So this is unbelievable to us.
Okay.
The diagnosis was acute aortic dissection. This 33-year-old is about to undergo operation. Aortic dissection is one of the most common and most dangerous aortic diseases. If they don't operate within 48 hours, the patient might die due to massive hemorrhage.
Prepare carbon dioxide. Prepare all the ducts well.
The most difficult aspect of this operation is stopping the blood supply to other major organs. It is risky. Complications for operations like this are not unheard of. If blood shortage is too long, the patient could become brain dead. This technique created by Sun Lijong will protect other major organs by lessening the time of blood shortage.
I initially used this method of surgery back in 2003, and we have added a few improvements to the process since then. We've taken into account brain protection, extracorporeal circulation, tools, and techniques. And now some experts, both home and abroad, have taken to calling the technique created by Dr. Sun the Sun-styled operation. Here is the graft.
We can see it.
What's the sizing you are preferring? Mostly we use 26 to 28.
The artificial blood vessel they use was also designed by Sun Lijong. Its multi-branch design conforms to the needs of the Chinese patient. It used to be that they needed to change several, but now only one needs to be changed.
We can see it now. I'm going to cut off the stripped inner membrane, as it is useless. I have turned the inner membrane into an artificial blood vessel.
Now I will do the sutures for the left and right sinuses.
It's beating. The heart is beating.
7 hours later, the operation is a success. The blood supply was stopped for the main organs for only 15 minutes.
So congratulations to you and your team.
I think Director Sun is great.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And now the whole world recognizes who you are. I'm sure that it
Oh,
isn't
no,
easy.
no. The greatest advantage we have is that we receive a large number of patients. We should thank them. Without those patients who trust us with their lives, we would not have had today's results, honestly speaking.
So Yuin is in that room.
All right, I'll see her.
Her mood has been fluctuating lately.
But she's always glad to see me. How are you feeling now?
Ma'am, please sit down.
How are you feeling now? You should be able to speak. Do me a favor and grab my hand. Grab it. Yes, she can, and she has a good grip. In the patient's family, I've treated and operated on both the parents and the children. So I am very honest with them, even about the current state of their hearts. Okay, you should go to the neurology department to continue your treatment. Don't be worried.
Dr. Sun is very easygoing. He called my son before the operation, telling him not to worry at all. The operation is complicated, he said. But he also said, "You have nothing to fear, because I will do the operation myself."
And I said, I know,
Surely
this is the best
that's what
hospital.
he told me. He didn't charge me anything.
Yes.
When I underwent the first operation, I said we had no money. My husband took out 1,000 yuan. Director Sun told us, "How can I take money from you, huh? I don't even take money from the rich people. How can I take money from people like you?" He said a lot, didn't he?
How are you feeling, sir?
Quite good.
Listen, do you remember who I am?
Are you... Professor Sun?
You remember.
Thank you so much.
Oh, of course. Right. Now your recovery is looking quite good. The general process is going quite well. It's looking good.
I'm grateful
Listen,
to
if
you.
you're in stable enough condition, we will be transferring you back to the ward.
All right.
Relax. Someone will arrange for you later. Now, don't get
All
up for
right.
me.
Thank you.
See you later.
I will never forget you, Doctor.
Is it painful or tight?
Painful.
Painful? Okay. High blood pressure. Before she came, her blood pressure was around 170 or 180. She had no idea. She was still working in the fields. I suggest that you be prepared. A sudden rupture is possible and could happen any time before we get the chance to operate.
This patient has suffered aortic dissection. Under the influence of high blood pressure, the inner membrane of her aorta ruptured. The blood flowed into the middle of the vascular wall, forming an interlayer. Now, there is only a thin outer membrane left for the blood vessel wall. Once it breaks, the patient could lose her life in an instant. And unfortunately, despite traveling all the way from Baotou, before they could even operate on the patient, her blood vessel had already broken.
We busied ourselves for hours rushing back and forth up and down. We really thought we could save the patient. But here we are. It's sad.
The aorta is a main duct that serves to transport blood to each and every organ in the body. And in the first 48 hours, after an attack, almost 50% of the patients could die from blood vessel fracture or from blood supply shortage to main organs.
It is the aorta. That is the thickest blood vessel that carries the blood directly from the heart, supplying it to the rest of the body. And when that vessel ruptures, a person can pass away in 1 or 2 seconds. When your brain loses blood, you will die. It can all happen really quickly. We get a checkup every year. We have to go every year. Yes, every year.
I get a checkup.
It has not been easy for me to live till now. The cost I paid is too great, and all my life has been sacrificed.
In fact, many people die before they can be treated. Only less than half the patients get operated on, while many patients never get the chance.
He said he would come the other day. We waited for him, but he didn't make it. The next day, his blood vessel burst. It's a social problem, not a medical one that doctors or hospitals can solve on their own. We cannot solve the problems for them. What are the problems we are constantly trying to address when they come to the hospital? We utilize our available resources to get them onto our operating table, to save their lives.
As for setting up an emergency group, there are many factors to consider. Yet we must think about them carefully, as there are several aspects. We can arrange people, but how do we arrange the bed? And beds in the intensive care unit? And how do we use the operating room? Coordination and so on.
The patient from Baotou traveled to Beijing for 8 hours just because no doctor there could do the operation. Sun Lijong's greatest wish is for more doctors to know about the Sun-styled operations. That way, these tragedies can be prevented.
Traveling from Xinjiang to Beijing takes a long time. Many patients cannot survive the trip. They don't make it in time. There was one patient that they tried to transfer from 301 Hospital to Anzhen Hospital, but he died on the way. I long for the day that any doctor can do the operation. This is what we're trying to achieve for the future. In Germany, patients only wait 2 hours. If we could do the operation within 10 hours, we could prevent so many deaths.
58, so 48 operations.
10 to 58.
So 48 operations.
48, yes.
One day.
Yes, one day.
That's very impressive.
Yes, last year we had 10,000 cases. Last year.
1 year.
Yes.
Very good.
As capable as I am of the operation, it would be impossible for me to treat every patient. And so I hope to put more of my effort in helping more people master this technology. I have arranged advanced studies for doctors, academic conferences, and seminars as well. When we celebrated the 10th anniversary of the Sun-style operation, we were told that over 150 doctors in China have learned it.
By now, there are 11 doctors in Anzhen Hospital who can do it. Sun Lijong intends to teach his colleagues new techniques he's learned from his experience, including thoraco-abdominal aorta replacement. These techniques, though beneficial, are considerably more difficult than the Sun-styled operation technique.
We'll get a definite diagnosis this afternoon, after the X-ray result. They told us it was a dissecting aneurysm. It is dangerous. She will need to get an operation. We don't have a choice. It is urgent that she get an operation. We were frightened when they explained it to us, and my parents told us, "What now?" We had to borrow money from people. Wait for me for a while, okay?
Jiang Chaisha's blood vessels had several aneurysms. Thoraco-abdominal aorta replacement is their best option at this point. It is rare and highly difficult even for Anzhen. There have only ever been 200 cases.
At this time in China, doctors who can operate for thoraco-abdominal aorta replacement are very few. As far as I know, only 5 doctors can do this operation independently.
The only doctors who can do this operation independently at our hospital are Director Sen and me, and Director Lu Yongmi. That's right now. But I think 10 years later, things will be different.
You are forbidden to go out while hospitalized.
It's about 8 centimeters. For an arterial aneurysm this size is likely to rupture. The annual rupture rate is about 20%. 1 in every 5 people dies instantly. For an operation like this, there is considerable trauma. Take note that the cut will be very long, nearly 1 meter long. This is a very difficult operation to undergo.
And the success rate?
The success rate is actually quite low. Well, generally, for routine operations, the odds of death are about 1 to 2%. Yours is at 20%. Frankly speaking, this statistic is very hard for doctors like us to accept. As far as we're concerned, what we dislike to see the most is the loss of both life and money. Sign your name. Tomorrow, just let her relax. It's best not to let her know what I told you, all right? But you should assure her. This is the best aorta surgery center in China. We have the most experience and the best treatment of all diseases, just like hers.
Yes, I know that. Are you nervous?
Yes, I am.
That's okay. You should relax. It will be like you're just taking a long nap.
These all need to be replaced. You see this? You can see her blood vessel has many branches. All of the blood vessels in her thigh should be linked anew. It's a big operation. We will need to open her chest and belly completely. All the blood vessels must be reconstructed. If we find aneurysms longer than 5 centimeters, there will be a need to cut them off. We don't want to wait for them to grow. When they grow too big, it is possible that they'll break. It could be as simple as the patient going to the toilet or sitting on a public bus and getting a jolt causing the rupture. If we don't do the surgery immediately, it could be tragic.
Yes, she could die.
She could die, yes. That's right.
The usual rate for in-hospital service is about 30 yuan.
But it's usually only about 10 yuan in our hometown.
Right. In-hospital is different from service at the shop.
Long hair during recovery will not be convenient. Jiang Chaixia wanted a haircut, but the doctor discouraged her from leaving as there were possible risks. So she stayed, and her husband asked the barber to come into the hospital for the service.
Is this okay? I wish you a speedy recovery.
Looks good.
What
Thank
was
you.
that? Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. Here.
You don't have to pay me. I just wanted to help. I
I
know
can't
how
accept
difficult
that.
it's been for you.
Really?
It doesn't matter.
Thank you
Forget
very
about
much.
it.
Ma'am? Are you sure?
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
This cardiac operation faces many difficulties, but Sun Lijong and the rest of his team have overcome them through experience, both in the clinics and hard research.
When Director Sen was our mentor, he carefully taught us by hand, and now we have kept this tradition alive. I'm teaching you in my supervision. I'll take over if you have a question. Before the operation, if you have any questions, we can discuss all the steps with each other to decide on the best possible solution. It could be questions like, how do we make the anastomotic stoma? Or how do we place the blood vessel where it needs to be? This area must be separated.
This iliac artery has to be separated from the rest.
The first hurdle of the operation is that blood vessels needing replacement must be separated from the other organs in the chest. As the hemangiomas are connected with the other organs, this is not easy.
I must separate the iliac artery. Is the thigh aorta very thick?
Yes, it is very thick everywhere.
For this step alone, the doctors take more than 2 hours. Then there comes a greater challenge.
Hypothermia circulatory arrest.
1, 2, yes? The clamp. It stopped.
Now we are at the most crucial moment. The scalpel?
Hypothermia circulatory arrest. Extracorporeal circulation lowers the patient's temperature to about 20 degrees Celsius. This way, for all the organs except the brain, blood circulation temporarily stops. The nearby blood vessels will be replaced. This must be accomplished in the shortest time possible. Otherwise, it could damage major organs such as the brain. Thus, it requires the doctor to operate fast and accurately. The smallest delay might lead to a disaster that will be fatal for the patient. At first, only one doctor could do it, and that was Sun Lijong. He has taught 2 doctors, Yu Yongmin and Zhu Junming, and now 8 doctors in Nanjing Hospital are training under these 3 doctors.
Okay, restore.
All right, restore.
Note the time, circulation is restored.
15 minutes.
Restart circulation slowly.
All right. Let the lungs begin to breathe slowly.
After circulation is restored, the next step is to replace the other blood vessels. The incision is nearly 1 meter long, from the patient's back all along her torso. From her shoulders to the root of her thighs, there are 14 sections of blood vessels. This step alone will take 5 hours.
Just mend the edge a little and that'll be okay. By the end of the operation, our entire body is swollen. 7 hours.
So you haven't drunk water in
We
7
didn't.
hours?
We could not take time to drink water. We were very nervous the whole time. We had to finish at one stretch, otherwise the patient might run out of blood.
After the surgeon leaves the table, the operation is only halfway through. The next step is more difficult. Stop the bleeding. After circulation is restored, increased blood pressure might cause the vessel to seep blood. The doctor must ensure there is no bleeding at all before they end the operation. This process alone takes the doctors 5 full hours. There are 12 doctors involved, 2 anesthetists, 3 doctors for extracorporeal circulation, and 7 surgeons. Zhang Taisha's operation lasted from 8 a.m. till 10 at night, a total of 14 hours altogether.
Let's go.
Are you hungry?
No, just thirsty. Hunger is not a major problem. We forget about our hunger.
Did you want to go to the toilet?
Not really, since we couldn't drink at all.
What do you want for lunch? I'll go out to buy some for you. Just tell me.
Did you say something about beef?
Do you want beef? Beef gravy is salty. It needs to be eaten with something. Do you want something else, perhaps?
I think that's enough. Yes.
Do you want me to get you a ham sausage?
No.
Lie down. Try to get some rest. Slowly.
Recently, because of a sudden change in weather, cases of cardiovascular disease have increased.
The main artery has bled.
See, Director, look at this.
Find the stents at the artery below the left clavicle and fix them. The operation was carried out by me and Dr. Zhang, I think.
We cannot wait much longer. And while she is very young, we must get this done.
Right.
It's a life. We must save the patient.
It does not matter if there is bleeding there. First, cut the artery under his left clavicle and fasten it.
Higher. Higher now, higher. There. Drop it completely.
Director Sun says if a patient comes during the day, then we must operate by that evening as soon as possible. Time is essential.
We've been overworked for a week. It's really very tiring, but we cannot rest. The patients don't rest. How can we? They're all different, and it gets highly unpredictable. It's one operation after the other.
Some are all-nighters. Yesterday, Director Wang and his assistant did an operation that was harder than ours. They came out only half an hour before us, but they started in the afternoon, at around 2 in the afternoon, I believe. They started early, but it was hard to stop the bleeding.
When did they finish?
About 2:30. I finished at 3. It was a difference of half an hour.
At dawn?
Yes, so theirs was more difficult.
5 in 7 days.
5 cases.
It never stops being a difficult job. But then we were able to save 5 lives in 7 days. Of course, I'm very tired, but I saved some patients' lives, and that makes me happy. They're very young, and because we saved them, we saved their families. In more ways than one, too. For instance, both Ma Jixiang and Zhao Wei both have a 1-year-old child. I'll never forget those 5 emergency patients.
Aortic dissection operation needs at least 7 hours. Thoracoabdominal aorta replacement operation will need more than 10. Each operation is highly intensive physical and mental labor. It is a great test for each of the doctors. However, the test goes on for much longer. Usually, training a mature cardiac surgeon takes 10 years. But this does not guarantee he will be able to do Sun-styled operation. That will take about 2 more years.
Cardiac surgery, especially aortic dissection, is different from other branches of learning, so it takes a long time, 7 to 8 hours. Problems can occur at any time. If you're too young and don't have much experience, you wouldn't know how to handle them. There's no room for accidents. There's no going back from that. Accidents can cost a patient his life.
At the time, I would always be tired. And I wasn't making much money for a long time. My high school classmates, for instance, are the same age as me. But when I was still studying for a master's degree, they already had their own families and had been making a living for years. On the other hand, I was still depending on my parents for living expenses and tuition and things like that.
The fresh graduates from medical school who start working in the hospital, they only get paid a salary of less than 4,000 yuan per month. With that amount of money, they can barely support themselves, much less their own family. That's not even enough for rent.
Are you nodding? You're okay? All right, just lie down and rest, okay? My grandma died from heart complications, and I didn't get to say goodbye to her. I didn't make it back in time. I was in her ward, and I was thinking quietly to myself. I must have been in my junior year or middle school, I think in my third year. I was thinking I should become a cardiac surgeon when I grow up.
You need to start taking anticoagulants all your life for maintenance now. I'll give the instructions before you leave. You must take these meds, but as prescribed, as I've instructed. Not too much, and not too little either, all right? All right? You will be discharged tomorrow.
Doctor, listen. Thank you for your help.
Keeping themselves busy is the cardiac surgeon's way of life. But this noon is somewhat different. All the doctors took a break from their busy lives because they wanted to give Sun Lijong a big surprise.
This is amazing. You guys are really big on celebrations, huh? There are so many cakes. I've lived over 50 years and I've never seen so many cakes.
Here you go, here you go. There.
I'm overwhelmed. Thank you.
Congratulations on being alive again.
Oh, thank you. I feel a little embarrassed. Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Let me blow the candles.
All right, Director.
You have to make a wish.
Thank you. Thank you very much. With your help, I have done so much work. We have achieved so much. Thank you to everyone, really. From the chat groups, I can tell. You all do good work late at night while I'm hiding in there. And to tell you the truth, sometimes I can't help but feel a little guilty. Yet I know there's nothing else for me to do. You've done it. People are getting older around here. Just 2 more candles and I'm afraid that I can't come back here anymore. Let me cut the cake for you to eat. This is easy. All right, this one as well. Thank you.
All right.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you, thank you. Oh, here,
Which
you can
one
have
do you
this.
want, Director? I'll give you yours. You want this?
No, I'm
this
okay.
one.
I'll eat
You
later.
should take the peach home.
I'll get some later. Thank you. Enjoy the food. Thank you, everyone.
It'll be chaos without you.
Well, I still have a patient waiting for me outside. Have fun. See you. See you. See you.
The patient here is a 59-year-old female who had bypass surgery months ago. Shortly after, she suffered a sudden angina, which means she needs to undergo another bypass surgery to correct what is wrong. The interval between surgeries is so short, which makes this risky. She has had this disease since she was young, but she did not pay enough attention to it. She thought it was just a backache. She thought it was too much fatigue until about 2 years ago, when the pain started to get worse on her back. Her blood vessels became too narrow. Yeah. And by now, this would be her 4th operation. We always try our best to get through it, right? Not to mention the risk is greater now. And they tell the family to prepare mentally as well.
Once your mom gets out of the hospital, we'll tell her, don't look after anyone. Don't do anything. We will give her her own room at home. Get a nurse for her.
Her heart is still weak. We will monitor her for now. We'll use that to decide what to do, all right?
Of course.
Rest assured we will take good care of her, okay? I hope you know that we'll do our best so she'd get better. We will keep you posted. One step at a time, she will get better.
Yes, yes. We hope you'll do what you can.
We'll work hard at this together.
All right.
Listen, if you have any questions, you can contact me. You have my number.
All right.
This can't do. As we did not sew up the cut, she will feel too much pain. Get medicines for her as soon as possible. Is her peripheral circulation all right?
Warm.
The color is still a little too dark. Her operation yesterday was difficult, so the procedure took a long time. It took a long time to move her heart, and it did not go too smoothly. That was because the edema of her heart could potentially cause complications. We could not close her sternum. If we closed her sternum too soon, it would affect her blood pressure dramatically. We had no other choice then, so we made a careful decision to use the simplest and most common method of using a device, a protective one that would allow us to sew up the skin.
If the operation is not a success, her condition might only get worse. But if we could use this particular device to assist her while she's recovering, that might work better for her.
Dr. Chen, I hope that you're doing all that
Don't
you
worry,
can.
I am.
You have already taken a lot of trouble to help, and I
After
hope
her
you will
procedure,
continue
I
doing
monitored
so
her for
us.
24 hours. I was there the whole time and I didn't sleep at all. I watched her. I was there. I kept watch over her
Did
the
you
entire
know
night.
that she has a grandson
I
waiting
heard
for
about
her?
him. I'm
And
sure
he's
it's
not
hard for
doing well
everyone right
either.
now.
Yes.
Dr. Chen, my aunt is still so young, and I hope we can count on you.
It doesn't matter how much it costs.
Since we've had to use these life support devices I've mentioned, the cost will definitely be higher.
No problem
But I
with
checked
that.
today. You've spent 180,000 yuan already. Although Beijing's medical insurance should cover some of it.
3 days later, Miss Wu's cardiac function is still weak. She's back in the operating room again.
Her blood pressure cannot be
Her
lower.
heart has lost systolic
Yeah,
function.
that's right.
It can't pump blood.
This is a problem that not even the best surgeon can solve. Her blood vessels are too weak and are unable to let much blood flow through, so her heart is always in a state of ischemia. Without the machine, she would have lost her life. Now she's dependent on it.
Completely dependent on
Her
it.
blood pressure is 50/30 now. That is not enough to maintain the blood supply to the major organs. We are now going to add a machine for her. After drawing her blood from the heart, we will drive the blood back into the rest of the body. It's similar to the extracorporeal circulation machine, but it will not take too long.
Give me another line.
Which one should I close first? Close this one, just the same.
Not this kind.
No need, you can insert there. It is very thin there, so all you have to do is insert. All right. Hurry up. You should fix this first.
Help me out. This has come out.
Okay, now this.
Fix this. Fix this. Here. Now the patient's blood pressure has reached 90/60. At its lowest, it was 30/20. With the help of the machine, her blood pressure has increased. That means it can help her heart. Let the machine help her function. Her heart can rest a little. As she's recovering, our machine's flow can be reduced gradually, and her own heart will restore its function slowly. But what if she cannot recover? We can only wait and see, step by step. This is where we see whether her heart can recover and go back to normal.
I am sending you all my strength. I'm here to support you. You are strong. I know you are, right? Come on. When you wake up, we will be here for you.
You must hold on. Both your grandchildren are waiting for you. Please, I know it's difficult. Be strong. I'm waiting for you. I'll be here every day, waiting for you. Okay?
Eight days later, despite the life support connected to Miss Wu, she has not shown much improvement. At this point, the life support equipment has side effects, which only means the doctors will have to remove some of them.
In most cases like this, we remove the device from the left side of the heart first and then check that the ventricle is not constricted. We should place the device for the aorta and slowly cut down life support.
I think we should remove life support first and keep the device in the heart. This way, without
The
the
left
lungs,
side
life
can
support
absorb
can
blood
still work.
continuously if you keep the device.
We can control the flow, control the burden on the left side.
In the case of this patient, all 3 auxiliary measures have been used already. More than 10 days have passed, but her cardiac function has not recovered. We think that in such a case, her heart has no hope of recovery. If it cannot recover, our continual treatment will be meaningless to her. To add to that, these devices have already caused serious side effects.
Further medical care will not change anything.
I feel she will not make it past today.
We can do everything that we can to try to save her, but I'm afraid we cannot guarantee.
Please do the best you can. If you need more money, we will pay more money. Let us know and we'll do it. I can't find it in my heart to just give up on her like this.
Yes, I understand. But you see, the issue is beyond anything that we can handle as doctors.
There is nothing that we can do medically, and it's best that we stop before we cause any more pain, or damage, or make the patient suffer.
I understand. It's difficult.
But how? We really thought she would do just fine. How could this happen to her?
We need to face the truth. Well, we tried to do what we could to save her. Sometimes, even if you give it your all, it still won't be enough. Success eludes you. You can try to rack your brain, but to no avail. And you know how you've been giving it your all, but you always think, how do I do better? Next time, should I do it differently? You question if you could have done it any better. Sometimes you will stay up late just thinking about it.
We have been with her since her first operation, and through her second operation, until her death. Honestly, the whole process, we were there. We have followed her progress, and we were there for until the very end.
When a patient passes away, you feel very bitter. You lose sleep at night, sometimes several nights. Before the patient's death, you'll think to yourself, you will question why this happens. You will struggle to make sense of it.
All our patients come to us with concerns that are a matter of life and death. I once performed a failed operation on a patient myself. It happened on December 27, 1987. She was 15, and she passed away while I was operating on her aorta. As doctors, we must know how to face death on a regular basis. Any good doctor is bound to find cases of death throughout his career. If he wants to avoid it, he limits himself by choosing to treat only patients with light diseases. In our department, I try to emphasize to my doctors that we must keep trying our best and not give up so easily.
This morning, the Cardiac Surgery Center received an 8 months pregnant woman.
Have you been feeling any remarkable pain or anything out of the ordinary?
No, just a light fever.
Just a fever? All right, let's see.
It's a highly risky condition, especially more so that she's pregnant. She cannot give birth naturally. It will be very painful for her and might cause her blood vessels to rupture.
We shall arrange for her operation at once, all right? Tell me, when did you get here?
2 o'clock.
Since 2 o'clock, all right. Right now, it's already 5 in the afternoon. It's been 3 hours. We need to prepare for anything that might be necessary. Right now, our anesthetist, our gynecologist, and an extracorporeal circulation specialist. Several doctors have had their consultation. They've discussed all the options.
The patient is Wang Chunyan. In merely 2 months, they were to welcome a new baby to their family. However, as it turns out, she has been diagnosed with a condition, aortic dissection.
You can just relax.
I'm okay.
Wang Chunyan's operation will cost 200,000 yuan, but they do not have the money on hand. Since she's in a critical state, the hospital made arrangements for the operation. They came to an agreement, and the patient made an initial payment of 10,000 yuan, with the rest to follow. In the operating room, she will undergo 2 procedures. First, the cesarean, and after that, they operate on her heart.
For this patient, the especially risky thing about it is that we need to ensure that the tumor will not rupture and that the fetus survives long enough for the cesarean. These are complications when a woman is 32 weeks pregnant. The anesthesiologist is aware of this. We need to take great care and adjust accordingly to address these several different potential issues.
While she's getting a cesarean, the cardiac surgeon stays close by and on standby, and he will be ready in case a situation arises.
I must wait here as the gynecologist is operating. But we can't just sit here and do nothing as they do all the hard work. That simply won't do any good. The patient is in serious condition, with an aneurysm much more than 6 centimeters, and an aneurysm as big as that has a higher probability of rupturing.
There's less to fear now that we're here. In here, she can be treated. And the doctors, they've been very kind to us.
Can you get him a seat or find him someplace to sit, please?
Thank you. After paying only 10,000, they did the operation.
My mother passed away about 6 years ago. My younger sister and I, we've always stuck together and helped each other out. We're both especially close.
This is your baby, Wang Chunyan. She had a baby girl. She's a little under the ideal weight, and the baby is struggling to breathe. We should transfer her to another hospital as soon as possible. As for the child, she will be kept in the incubator in the meantime, as we need to limit her contact with the outside world.
All right.
Are you in pain?
Where is the child?
We just came from the children's hospital.
Yes, we just came from there.
She's doing quite well.
Boy or girl?
What?
A girl.
Boy or girl?
Yes, a girl.
Girl. She's born healthy. What are you asking?
How much does she weigh?
What?
How many tsin?
5 tsin.
Okay. Good. Always take deep breaths. Don't breathe too fast. Slowly. Try to cough. That way your lungs can open easily. If you get more oxygen, you'll recover faster.
It appears that the patient is developing hypertension. She was at 220/140.
We discussed the operation. Her family came over to talk with us, very firm. They understand the need.
The patient at bed number 6 was operated on by Pan Jun, an aorta replacement. The patient has woken up. Drainage was at 450 ml.
The patient at bed 7 was treated by Wang Bing.